He stared in utter disbelief and horror and couldn't believe he had been so careless. The scene before him was one of nightmares. The back half of her hung flailing against the garage door. If only he had checked on Bella before he had left home, the unthinkable wouldn't have happened. He never thought for a minute that she had been in danger.
Before we begin, make sure you smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and click the notification bell for more amazing videos.
Deputy Mike Scott was going about his day when he received the call. It was 4 days after Christmas, and things had been quiet in Louisiana. It had been raining heavily, and many houses had taken on water during the flood. He said later that nothing could prepare him for what he found when he responded to the call. Bella's owner had gone to the store, like many homeowners, to fetch supplies and equipment to deal with the flooding that had occurred in his neighborhood. He went down to the garage, got into his car, and left without a backward glance. If he hadn't been preoccupied with the mental list that he had compiled in his mind, he may have noticed something odd about his garage door as it slowly creaked closed behind him. Pleased with his purchases, Bella's owner made his way back home, totally oblivious to what scene was unfolding right in his own driveway, and completely unaware of his terrible mistake. If he had known what threat a commonplace electric garage door posed to his loved ones, he would have been more careful. When he arrived on the scene, he vowed never to make that costly mistake again. Bella's owner pulled into his own driveway to a scene of absolute chaos. There was a crowd of hysterical people gathered in front of his house, pointing and shouting. In the midst of the throng of people was Deputy Mike Scott, who was the only one who seemed to have some composure. Then he saw what they were all staring at, and his skin grew cold. Deputy Mike stayed calm among the group of people. He knew he had to remain cool-headed and think logically. He assessed the horrific situation from every angle, and made a mental calculation. He knew exactly what to do, but he knew he needed help. That's when Bella's owner arrived on the scene, his face frozen in astonishment, and his mouth forming 3 words. "My God, Bella," he yelled in horror. And there she was. His beloved cat and companion was hanging from the top of the garage door, with her little legs dangling off into thin air. Then he realized that something was sickeningly wrong. Her little body was being crushed, and he could only see her furry hindquarters. Her head and upper body must be on the other side of the door. Deputy Mike Scott had a plan, and he put it into action swiftly. He realized that he needed to act fast, but he didn't know how long Bella the cat had been hanging there, crushed at the top of the garage door. He also didn't know how much injury the cat had sustained when she had been crushed as her owner unwittingly closed the garage behind him. Poor Bella. She had been sunning herself on top of the then horizontal garage door when her owner had closed it behind him, and she must have panicked as it started to move. She scrabbled upwards and tried to get over, but she didn't make it in time, and she was crushed between the upper frame and the hard wooden door with no means of escape. Deputy Mike Scott thought the situation looked hopeless. Then Bella had feebly kicked her back leg, and he knew she was still alive. He had to get her out, and quickly. He made a move to start removing the paneling above Bella, so that he could safely slide her out without further damaging her little body. Everyone saw what he needed to do, and lent a hand. Construction workers who were luckily nearby brought their machinery over as everyone moved to help extricate the cat. They removed the molding delicately and painstakingly around her, until there was a space big enough to pull her out. The plan was working, but they didn't yet know if the cat would survive the harrowing ordeal. The process took several hours. Finally, the moment everyone had been waiting for had arrived. The molding had been removed enough to remove Bella. Deputy Mike Scott gently slid her out, and although she was visibly shaken, she let out a grateful meow. Bella was carefully inspected for injuries, and thankfully, she seemed like she had survived unscathed. She was battered and probably sore from being crushed by the heavy door, but she was alive. Closing garage doors are a very serious peril to cats everywhere. There have been many incidences where the cat has been in the same predicament, but has not been so lucky. Always check your garage door for errant cats who may be hiding on top. It may save their lives. Bella's owner is sure to never make that mistake again. Deputy Mike Scott's quick thinking and the camaraderie of the crowd that all wanted to help had ensured that Bella the cat was rescued and had emerged unharmed. When asked about the ordeal, he said, "I am not much of a cat person, but no one wants to see an animal suffer. After losing so much from the flood, I was happy that I could save the homeowner's cat. Thank God for miracles and good neighbors." The story of Deputy Mike Scott of the Ascension Parish Sheriff's Office in Louisiana coming heroically to Bella the cat's rescue has gone viral all over the world, and is a lesson for all. Mike Scott's willingness to help an animal in need, no matter how difficult, and the manner in which the close-knit community pulled together is a story of how people willing to help can save a life. I'm sure Bella agrees. If you enjoyed this story, wait for our next story starting in 10 seconds. Deanna Pilling thought it would be a cute idea to surprise her daughter, McKenna, at university a day ahead of schedule. A mom surprising their daughter at college is a sweet idea. If you are thinking the same thing we are, this was a terrible idea. Not one college student wants to be surprised by their parents. Deanna's sweet surprise ended up taking a wrong turn. Deanna and McKenna had a close mother-daughter relationship. When it was time for McKenna to attend college, Deanna was shocked that her New Yorker daughter wanted to go to Utah State University. To say the least, the mom was heartbroken to have her daughter across the country. She knew that it would be the best decision to let McKenna spread her wings and leave the nest. The day before McKenna was heading back to New York for the summer, Deanna decided to do something special and surprise her daughter at her college. Deanna would learn soon enough that surprising a kid at college is not a good idea. Deanna thought it would be fun to show up in Utah a day earlier without telling McKenna. Who doesn't love a surprise from their mom? Without notifying McKenna of her arrival, Deanna booked a last-minute plane ticket from New York City to Utah. She had no idea of the surprise she was about to get. Deanna tried to call McKenna before boarding her flight to find out her plans for the night. Unfortunately, McKenna did not answer. When Deanna was boarding the flight, she hoped that her daughter wouldn't have gone out somewhere. After being on a plane for 5 hours, Deanna landed in Logan, Utah. She was able to grab a cab and head to Utah State. Her daughter was calling her back and Deanna started to panic. Since she did not want to ruin the surprise, she denied the call. The mother was worried that if she answered, McKenna would start to catch on to her plan. The last time Deanna was on campus is when she moved McKenna in the fall semester. 9 months have passed since that time, and when she got to campus, she felt a little lost. She tried to remember where McKenna's dorm was. There were a lot of students moving out for the summer, so the campus was busy with students and parents. Deanna was looking around and she felt overwhelmed because the university was larger than she remembered. Deanna had to make sure she was not seen before getting to her daughter's dorm. She tried to look around cautiously to see if she spotted familiar faces. After wandering around the campus for quite some time, she finally found her daughter's building. Once she was in the building, she spotted a few of McKenna's friends. She recognized them through social media posts. Deanna was relieved because at least she found the correct building. Deanna hopped on the elevator and went up to McKenna's floor. She was nervous. This was the longest amount of time that they had gone without seeing each other. She walked to her door and knocked on it. Deanna stood outside while she waited to see her daughter's reaction. She was hoping that her daughter would be happy to see her, but no one answered. She knocked again, but there was no one inside the dorm room. Deanna realized the door was unlocked when she could jiggle the handle. The mother thought it was weird that McKenna wouldn't lock her door. But Deanna still opened the door, not knowing what she would find. When she entered the room, she saw that there were a few girls packing up their stuff. Deanna said hello to them and went into McKenna's room. Her room is completely empty though, so Deanna was afraid that she screwed this whole plan up. All packed and ready to go, she removed everything from the walls and all of her belongings were neatly packed in boxes. Deanna was exhausted after a long day of traveling. The only thing that was left in McKenna's room was her bed that was still covered in blankets and pillows. She thought to herself that it was a good idea to hang out until she returned. She decided to put down her bags, take off her shoes, and lay in her daughter's bed. Deanna then thought it was not a good idea if she fell asleep because she thought it would be a waste of a surprise. Instead, she came up with a better idea. She was going to let her daughter know that she was on campus, but in a classic mom way. Deanna took a selfie of laying in McKenna's bed and she knew that her daughter will be shocked that she flew all this way to see her. And when McKenna replied, she was surprised, but not in the way that Deanna hoped. McKenna asked, "Where that?" Deanna frowned at her phone. How did McKenna not recognize her very own bed? McKenna sent another text, "I'm in my dorm. Please tell me you're not in someone else's dorm." Deanna started to freak out. How could this be possible? Deanna bolted out of bed. If this wasn't McKenna's dorm, then where was she? She ran out of the room and halfway down the hallway. Deanna texted back, "I am in the wrong dorm, OMG." She made her way down the hall laughing at her terrible mistake. I felt sick to my stomach because I've already said hi to several people in the dorm and they probably have no idea who I was, said McKenna's mother. Deanna then laughed and said, I thought, oh, my gosh, I didn't even look at the name of the building. I could be in the wrong building. Thankfully, the room Deanna set foot in was a friend of McKenna's who lived down the hall from her. Deanna's daughter found the whole situation hysterically funny that she took to Twitter to post her mom's selfies and text messages. McKenna's friend, the girl whose dorm Deanna had been in, didn't know about the whole situation until a few days later. She commented on it and was like, "Is that my pillow?" McKenna said. Right after, the tweet and photo went viral. The response shocked both Deanna and McKenna. McKenna said, "We weren't expecting anything of it. I just thought friends and family would see it, but now it's completely gone everywhere." The college student said that her mom was always filled with surprises and this one was the funniest. Deanna, on the other hand, was not too keen about all of the attention. Even though it was a terrible mistake, Deanna was relieved that she had so many people laughing, including her daughter. McKenna does have one issue though. Every time I refresh my feed, more retweets and favorites pop up, and now all my mom has to say is, "I wish I would have taken a better picture."